When I started thinking about doing this talk, I really had a tough time about what is next. And I'm thinking, what's next? It's hard to even think about going the next day and what you're going to do for breakfast and what's for lunch. So the thought of what is next was something I couldn't think about. But what I thought about was, how brave is it to even think about what is next? And that intrigued me. That intrigued me thoroughly. I said, well, I've got to think about this. I started thinking about my life. I started thinking about all the things in the world. What makes somebody brave? Are you born with it? Does it somehow just come down on you? In the old heads in here, is it like the Gap Band where it says, oops, upside your head? I said, oops, upside your head. That's how it comes to you? So I just couldn't figure out what, in fact, makes you brave. So the hairstyle, do not laugh. All righty? I thought about what made me brave, and I thought about my mother, which you see here on the left, all right? And that's me, if you didn't guess it. That's me on the other side. And I kept thinking, in my life, what made me brave? So I'm gonna tell you a little story, quick story. 1955, all right? Yes, do the math. I'm 71 years old, and I know I look good, all right? So, it's 1955, and it's the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. And I'm in school, and we're getting ready to be picked up by our parents. In those days, parents came to the school, picked you up, talked to the teacher, and all that good stuff. Well, I was so excited to get home because I had something very special to take home. You gotta be a certain age to understand the hand turkeys. Okay, somebody's shaking their head. You gotta be a certain age to understand the hand turkeys. So I had my hand turkey, I was ready to go home, but my mom had not come. I found out later she had forgotten that it was a half a day. So the teacher says, well, I've gotta go call your mother. And I'm like, okay, which was probably the beginning of what Doreen was going to be, meaning doing whatever I wanted to do. She goes to call my mother, I go out the front door of the school. 7 years old, right? So I'm saying, I'm a big girl. I can walk home all by myself. I don't need for my mom to come get me. Now, I had forgotten the cardinal rule of Lavelle. That's my mother's name. Thou shalt not leave the schoolyard or the school without having me there. But somehow I thought it was going to be okay. I was home recently and went back to the old neighborhood and took these pictures, because I wanted to show you how I had to walk home. I had to walk down one street, which was very long, and through this alley to get to 836 Atchison Street. Now, what was so funny as I'm walking, and again, at that time, it was a neighborhood, Mr. Doreen of the Doreen store stopped me and said, in his very thick German accent, where are you going? I said, I'm going home because I have my turkey, and I've got to get home and show my mom. Well, I found out later, he called my mom as well. So she has 2 calls coming to her saying, this girl is walking home by herself, all right? So I continue walking, and I get to that alley, and I see her running. Her poor coat is flapping in the wind. Her head is down, and she looks up and she sees me, and she stops. So I then go, let me run and catch my mom. Let me get my mom. So I run up to her, and she runs up to meet me, and we stop, and I look at her, and I said, look at my turkey. And I walked home by myself. Now, as I got older, I thought about, and being a mother, all the things she could have said. She could have chastised me, right? You didn't do what I told you to do. You walked home by yourself. She could have lamented on all the horrible things that could have happened to me on that walk home. She had all kinds of choices. But guess what she did? She looked at me in typical Lavelle style, put her right arm on her right hip, looked down at me and said, well, aren't you the brave one? And I stood there and thought, yes, I am. 64 years ago, she said those words to me. They have followed me ever since. They followed me through going into the Marine Corps at 18 years old and leaving Columbus, Ohio, scared to death. First time on an airplane. It followed me through a really bad marriage where I had enough sense to get out of it, and drove a car with no driver's license from Baltimore to Ohio. It got me out of having a full-blown stroke at 48 years of age and losing my entire left side. And I always tell this story. I was a very vain, probably still am, female. And this stroke had left the left side, and they told me I could no longer wear high heels. Oh my God. My womanness was gone. I was no longer going to be cute. And I was sitting in my bedroom with 40 pair of high heel shoes around me, sitting in the middle of it with a bottle of Jack Daniels, drinking this, all right? And God bless my husband, he came in, looked at me and said, "What the heck's wrong with you?" "I'm not gonna be a woman anymore. I can't wear dresses. What am I gonna do?" He said, "You're getting ready to do something that you love. Shop. Go buy some cute flats and get over it." That's what he told me. That same man, I had to be brave again, because 6 years ago, on August 12th, he walked out to watch a football game and had a massive coronary. And I had to learn to be brave every morning for 2 years, and even my daughter doesn't know this, to get out of the bed and put 2 feet on the floor and walk out that door just to do something. Otherwise, I didn't know what was going to happen to me. So, because I'm a teacher and because I love telling people how to live, all right, I came up with an acronym for BRAVE, okay? Being brave is being ready and able to articulate, say it, and actualize your valuable experiences. You know what? We get so caught up in the doing and everything, we never take on the moment. I mean, how many of us have done the holidays and everything had to be perfect? Perfect. And the day of, what do we want to do? Leave me the hell alone so I can go to sleep. You don't even get a chance to have a good time. So I came up with some nuggets. That are going to get you through being brave. Are you ready? First one is very important to me. You got to be brave enough to have a low tolerance for BS. You have to be, okay? In the world we live now, it's so toxic. We can't breathe the air. We can't eat the daggone food. You can't do anything unless there's going to be some repercussions, okay? So you have to be able to say to yourself, I can't be bothered with the BS. That's why I love getting older. And I want to say, we can talk, right? We're at home in my front room, right? BS smells bad. Sticks to the bottom of your shoe. You can't get it off. And it permeates everything. Why would it let it permeate our spirit? So we have to be brave enough to get rid of the BS. Be forgiving of yourself so you can be forgiving of others. You cannot be able to forgive others unless you forgive yourself. We hold on to stuff so long that we have forgotten about what we're holding on to. When the person starts saying, "Don't you remember?" you go, "I don't remember." What did Elsa say? Let it go, let it go, let it go. And we have to learn to let it go. My girls in Vogue said, "Free your mind, the rest will follow." So understanding that the only way to understand being brave in your forgiveness of yourself is to forgive others. Not to let anyone put a pause on your purpose. Think about that. Why in the world would we let somebody click the pause button on what we're trying to do? And we see it all the time. I see people tell me, "Well, I have this dream." So let me help you. Don't let anybody interrupt your dream because they're still sleeping. You're going to wake up in a nightmare. Learn how to appreciate who and what you are and go forth, and don't let anybody put a pause in you. And this happens to be persistence. You got to have persistence. My granddaughter's going to kill me. 2 years old, she thought she was going to be the best driver in the world, not knowing when the real world came, it took her 3 or 4 times to pass the test. But that's persistence, right? How many times do we stumble and think we are going to give up? I tell people, think about stumbling as doing a dance and you get out of step. What do you do when you get out of step? You get right back in there and you continue the dance. And we are so tied into the stumble, we forget how fun the dance is. So we have to learn how to make sure that we are persistent at all times. Be careful, where are my young women? Be careful who you give the key to your mind, your heart, and your spirit. How many of you give your keys to your house to anybody? You don't. But we're so willing to give our keys over of who we are to people, places, and things. So I say all the time, be careful who you give your keys to, because they got to be more important to you than they are to the other folk. Commit yourself to quality. Now, here's where I'll probably get in trouble, all right? We have such a low quotient for having quality right now. I'm scared for us, not just personally, as a nation. We are willing now to deal with not being honorable, and we're willing to compromise. And when I say that, we're at a point in life right now where it's not safe to go to a place of worship. We're at a place right now where we're not able to love who we want to love, be who we want to be. We have children who are in pens and in cages. There is a lack of quality that's going on. A society that does not have integrity is a society that will die. And we're at the point right now where our quality control is terrible. All right, if you know anything about management, you know you have a quality control person. I'll leave that alone. Okay? Become your own best friend. I am my own best friend. All right? Be still. Learn to be still and to be quiet in the essence of yourself. Listen to what I'm saying. Be still and be quiet in the essence of yourself. Go on a vacation by yourself. Go have a meal by yourself. Sit on the porch with a glass of wine and listen to Aretha Franklin by yourself. You know, really enjoy being by yourself. If I don't like me, I can't expect anybody else to like me. I tell people all the time, they say, who's your best friend? Beside me is my daughter. I said, but I am my own best friend. So learning how to be your own best friend is very brave, and we've got to learn how to do it. It actually happens when you get older. Believe it or not, it does happen. Another archive picture. All right? One of the things I've always said is always do the things that you really want to do, because those are the ones you're going to remember. This picture, my daughter found. That's me, the tall one. Okay? Shows my age for real. 1959, I think, when Alaska became a state. And we're actually on the state. We're actually in the park across the street. That's an igloo, guys. That's an igloo. And that's the map. I didn't want to do this. I thought it was dumb. It was stupid. All right? What I then found out, I am now actually in the Ohio Park National Archives. This picture, again, my daughter found by pure accident. So sometimes doing those things you don't want to do are the things you're going to remember the most. At the end of my bio, I have a little saying. I say, when I'm in the rocking chair on my front porch in my twilight years, as I'm rocking back and forth, the smile that creeps across my face will be for the things that I have done, not for anything that I may have regretted. That's how we have to live. That's how we have to live. Be decisive, even if it means sometimes you're wrong. And I know y'all hate being wrong. All right, we hate being wrong. But sometimes making that decision about being wrong is so important. Again, I tell people all the time, why are we afraid to stumble? Stumbling is okay. It's really okay. So go ahead, do what you've got to do. If it's wrong, it's wrong. I know I'm a fault. People tell me, you never want to say you're wrong. Well, I'm really not most times. You know, but I do understand that I will do a decision and I'm willing to take what happens. And then many times we're not willing to take on that ownership. All right? Don't do anything that won't make your mom proud of you. And let me tell you why I'm saying this. I understand the legacy behind my mother's bravery. I understand that my mother's mother, Roxy Sims, was a woman that left Mississippi to make sure her girls could have a better life. My mother left Mississippi and came to Ohio to have a better life. My Aunt Leslie was told she could not go to school because she was black at Ole Miss, and they paid her, the state, to go to Indiana University to get her master's, and she did. So I know that I stand on the backs of those women, and they have made it so that I can keep going in life, but I also, they taught my mother to tell me what? Aren't you the brave one? Now I ask you, how brave are you, and are you going to be the brave one? Thank you.